Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN. It is season 6 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The cool new flavors of spring and summer have arrived at Tim's. This year's lineup of delicious and refreshing cold beverages includes the brand new lineup of, orange tangerine. You've got blackberry yuzu. You've got peach strawberry. You've got watermelon. You've got the new pineapple dragon fruit, Ray. All of it in that incredible list of Tim Hortons frozen quenchers, flavors, and also backed by popular demand, the Oreo double stuffed iced cap. And as I've talked about so many times on this podcast, and it's not just a shameless plug, I go through the drive-thru on my way to studio every other day. Whenever I'm headed to studio, it's just part of my routine. I have a 12-ounce cup of coffee in the morning, which is brewed here. And then I have an 8-ounce cup. So 20 ounces of coffee in the morning is a fair bit, right? Fair bit. Sure, I don't know how many. Yeah. Okay. So then I drink coffee.
Yeah. Till when?
More than that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coffee. All right. So then as I'm driving in, go through the drive-thru around 4 o'clock Eastern. Just because of just the new me, I try to avoid the good stuff. So I have a medium coffee with 1 milk. That's it. Psst. Keep going. Not yesterday. Yesterday, I just saw this enormous smile cookie looking at me. Yes, I get to the kiosk to order, and I'm like, okay, I'll have a smile cookie. And I'm not going to lie, it was delicious.
Still going. I think it is foolish to never have the smile cookie. Like I got an idea. During the day, as you're thinking about what you're going to eat, I got to leave for the studio at 4 o'clock, whatever. Yeah. And go, I'm going to get one of those. I'm going to get one of those cookies. So what I'm going to do is at lunch, I'm not going to eat that. Save the calories. Plan out. You're a planner, Dregs.
Yes,
you're a planner.
Yeah.
My good buddy Dan Murphy says you got to make that decision every day. Not every day, I hope, for Murph. I hope it's not every day. But, you're going to eat or drink your calories. And so by the end of the day, if you want to have 2 glasses of wine, save 300 calories.
Yeah.
And then you're fine. And it was good watching the games last night. That was wild.
It was wild.
That was wild.
You're home, so it was wild. And the first round continues, obviously. Tremendous Game 7 tomorrow. Game 6 tonight with Winnipeg, St. Louis. We'll talk about that coming up in headlines momentarily. But what a first round. And it's not over. And we've got, as I've just set up, 2 wonderful games. But every year we kind of say the same thing about the first round, don't we? But this one just seemed to have a little bit extra juice in it for whatever reason.
You know what? I'm going to disagree because I think the first round is always a little bit like a car on 2 wheels. And
that's true.
As you get later into the series too, where the games, of course, have the in and out possibility. They, like the games last night, every goal feels like just a huge rock dropping into the middle of the game. And you're like, oh man, how are they going to come back from that? And then somebody does or somebody doesn't. So I'm watching as I was watching all the games there, the one that just blew me away is Dallas is fighting their tails off. They've got no Heiskanen and no Robertson. Of the 5 goals that Dallas scored, or Colorado scored last night, not counting empty netters, the first one deflected off of 2 Dallas defensemen and went in. The second one, Makar's got a 35-foot wrist shot, and he totally fans on it, and it's a perfect pass to Lehkonen. The fifth one, the game winner from McKinnon, have you seen a goal like that before? I don't recall that. He loses it, or he gets it to the front of the net, and then Sam Steele just wants to get it out of there, and he fires it off a Blackwell's shoulder pad, and it goes back in the net. And I'm like, this is mayhem. If you're a hockey fan, last night was, and you're listening to this show, I guess you are, but it was awesome. It was awesome hockey last night.
It was. All right. Well, we've got some coach news, which we're going to get to in headlines, which, by the way, Ray, for this episode of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, headlines are brought to us by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction pro and you need work in Western Canada, Acon wants to hear from you. Acon is a North American construction leader, proud to be one of Canada's original industrial contractors. They're building some of the largest multi-year industrial projects in Western Canada, and they want you to be a part of it. So send your resume to trades@acon.com. Okay. So wake up this morning and confirmation comes from the New York Rangers, a surprise to no one, that Mike Sullivan has been named the 38th head coach in New York Rangers history. Just, I mean, good on them. And they identify in the media release that as soon as Sullivan was accessible, they jumped on. All right. And that explains, again, the parting in the ways with the Pittsburgh Penguins and all of that. So, well, do you like the hire? I know you're a Mike Sullivan fan. Is he a good fit for the New York Rangers team that you see today? Or is there a fair bit of work ahead for general manager Chris Drury to change it so that it's better suited to the type of coach Sullivan is?
I think Mike Sullivan's one of the best coaches in the league. I think if he were available, I would try to hire him. I like the way he goes about his business. I like the way he thinks through the game. I like that his players know exactly what he wants, and he's able to communicate that. The style he likes to play, however, is not. They don't have Sidney Crosby in New York,
right?
Who is a direct, straight up the ice player, and they built so much of what they did around him. Great coaches, and I'm on this. I think Mike Sullivan's a great coach. They don't say, this is my style, it has to fit everywhere. If they do, they're not great coaches, because Mika Zibanejad cannot play like Sidney Crosby. Artemi Panarin cannot play like Chris Kunitz or Jake Gensel. Like, he doesn't play like that. But what you can do is build your system that you like around the players that you have. And there's got to be some give and take. There really does. It's going to have to. The Rangers have a long way to go. They imploded this year. That was they won the President's Trophy last year. And this year they missed the playoffs. So is there a lot of work? Oh yeah, Drury's got a lot of work there. Like, you've got you've got some real difficult decisions to make. Some of them you can't make because the players have control of their contracts. But I'm not surprised, and I think it's the right hire in New York.
What do you think of the idea of John Tortorella being part of the staff?
I'm not surprised. When I watched the bench in Florida, in Montreal and Boston during the Four Nations, and there was almost like a mentor kind of lean on a little bit, like keep poking into his experience from Sully to Torts.
Right, but I want to just stop because I don't want to set you up for this. I mean, that's been the speculation that Torts would be involved. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be.
Okay, well, there you go. Then it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what I think.
Well, that's why I interjected, because it kind of set you up, in an unfair fashion.
Okay, so Dregs, what would you do if I'm coming over to the house, I'm driving a bulldozer through your front door. So what are you doing? Oh, never mind. I'm not going to do that. What a donkey.
Sorry. Well, no, but it had been speculated, and the way I framed the question almost confirmed that speculation. So that's why I kind of cut you off.
You know what else has been speculated? Many things. You freaking donkey. Torts, do it. Okay, so I'm going to say this. Torts, do whatever the hell you want. And I think it's going to be great. I still think, irrespective of this last 30 seconds, I think Sullivan's a terrific coach. And the other thing we probably haven't got to yet is he got paid.
Did he?
He got paid.
We don't know the specifics yet, but we have a pretty good handle ballpark, right? I mean, do you think it's And I hate asking questions like this because I should know the answer, and it's too fresh, the announcement, right? And some coaches are okay with that, with the structure and the dollars getting out because they're proud and they believe that it helps another coach coming down the path,
Right.
which I appreciate. But I guess it'd be Mike Babcock with the Toronto Maple Leafs to be the richest coach contract in history, right? 50
that was
plus
50.
million.
Yeah. I think Cooper's the highest paid right now, is he not?
Right now. Yes. Yeah.
Sullivan's
But
past that.
So what, in the 7 million range, you think?
I don't know that, but I can't believe it's not. I think it is.
It'll come
I think
up.
he's a marquee name. He's a marquee coach. He's won. He is everything that Jim Dolan and the Rangers ownership like.
Yeah.
And he actually had all the cards. He did, because if they didn't want him, he was going to be going somewhere else. And he was going to, it wasn't like he was going to be looking for a place to go. That's for sure.
Yeah. And just to wrap up the Torch thing again, it was speculated. I don't believe that they've actually had conversations. Now, might they? That'll be up to Mike Sullivan moving forward. Okay. You wonder about Jon Cooper. Is that fair? And I guess I wonder because no different than Sullivan. I think we talked about this earlier in the week. You get to a place as a coach or as a player where you just know, you feel it's time for a change. And the organization can encourage that. But if you're Jon Cooper, maybe you just feel that that group needs a new voice, a different direction in Tampa Bay. And if that's the case, then now that Sullivan has been scooped up by the New York Rangers, you can envision Jon Cooper, who wants, I'm told, if there's a change, wants to go to a hockey market. Can we unfairly link the idea of Cooper with Los Angeles if Los Angeles decides that maybe they need a proven head coach? Because that window is closing, right, with Kopitar and Doughty. Throw Kempe, maybe Kemper into the mix, all of that. And Cooper would fit in a lot of markets. He's just a terrific, all-around terrific head coach. Do you see a change first happening in Tampa Bay?
I hadn't really thought of it much prior to last year when he signed that extension that goes through just the end of next year. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then they have been there a long time together. And very rarely does anybody get past a half a dozen years, certainly in today's game. 3/4 of the league has changed over in the last year and a half. So then, there's the report that comes out, kind of linking him to Utah. I don't know. I know he's buddies with Ryan Smith, the owner, but I don't know if that's even a thing or not. I would not be surprised, howeber, if there is a change, if he decides that, hey, it's time, and all of a sudden, then the carousel starts spinning like crazy, as it's just where would Cooper fit? Where does Rick Tocchet fit? Where does the coaches that have been let go? Where is David Carl staying in Denver for sure? He's turned down at least one big offer. Where is Joel Quenneville getting back in? And man, that thing starts spinning fast, and you can't even really make sense of it. That's the toughest, is to try and make sense of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how things move, but that coaching carousel is a wild ride, isn't it? Just across the board.
It is. It's because when the one coach goes, then it's all the coaches that are with him. Now, do they stay? Do they go? What's, how are the staffs composed? There's a lot of people going to be changing locations this summer.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's get into some of the action that we saw last night as series wrap up. And I, again, probably unfairly identify Jim Hiller, maybe because of some of the mistakes that were made in that series. But I'll start with the Edmonton Oilers. Let's accentuate the positive here. They look shaky, to start the series against the Los Angeles Kings. Some of the analyst prognosticators, many of them, in fact, picked LA to beat the Edmonton Oilers. Well, it obviously didn't happen. So did you see enough in how the Oilers closed that series, how they turned that series around, to believe that they exercised whatever demons that they had coming into the postseason?
Well, yeah. I mean, they won a series. They are healthier than they were at the start of the series. Kane, who was a total question mark due to his health and unavailability for the past year, he made an impact. They got some depth scoring. Like, did their defense does that give you much more confidence than it did at the start of the series? Not for me. Is their goaltending much more solid than it was at the start of the series? Not for me. But they got better as the series went on. Like, in my opinion, LA imploded in the 2 games in Edmonton.
Yeah.
They at the very least, they should have had a split in Edmonton, and they didn't. And the Oilers got progressively better, and I thought the Kings got progressively worse. And series is over. They can't win against Vegas like that. Like they in my opinion,
right.
So I don't know. Do they feel confident or relieved? I'm not sure. LA must feel like they just got Bugs Bunny run over again. Like, this is like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. 4 years in a row. Now this year you lose 4 straight games, and like, where do you go from here?
Yeah, and I mean, that level of disappointment, it wasn't an upset, but that level of disappointment, I mean, it breeds all kinds of speculation, right? So, everything from, we've kind of nibbled at Jim Hiller. You wonder about Rob Blake. He's been there a long time. I mean, just go on and on and on. And they're a veteran team, right?
They are, like, it's one thing to talk about, oh, isn't it amazing that Kopitar and Doughty have been there for 15 or 16 years together. Yeah. It's the same thing in Pittsburgh. Those guys have been there 19 years together. Like, eventually, the great part of the story is not the great part of the story.
Right.
And it's just because guys get old. Like, the 5 players I just referenced are all in the Hall of Fame. Every one of them. Kopitar, Doughty, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. I think they're all in the Hall of Fame. And you get old. It's like when I thought Leon Draisaitl had an awesome quote. They were talking about Corey Perry. He's like, I think he could play at least 50. Well, maybe the boots. I don't know. Like, eventually you just can't. It was a great quote. Like, eventually you just can't. And LA's in this quasi-transitional phase. And, like, is Jim Hiller the coach? Are the Kings going to pay another coach? Again, it's like what we just talked about with Sullivan, Dregs. It's like the internal decisions become so convoluted, like it's hard to really guess. But man, that was a crushing loss for them.
It was. So you mentioned Vegas, and obviously that's going to be a tough series, and we've got plenty of time to set it up in the next podcast. But as I'm watching that Oilers game last night, I guess the one thing that kind of jumped out to me was just how spread out the offense was. So as much as it's always about McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and the question marks we may or may not have in goal and on defense, that collection of offense from different sources, I mean, it kind of feels like obviously that's what you're going to need to beat a really good team like the Golden Knights.
You are. I really like him because I've been to where he's been health-wise, is Connor Brown. And when your year is everybody's crapping all over you, and all you do is you go home and you're like, I can't keep up anymore. I can't play. I'm not healthy. I'm doing my best. I just can't. And that was him a couple of years ago. And then now he looks like he's a viable player that can play up and around their lineup. They get Kane back, right? Like that stuff matters. Trent Frederick, who is a hell of a nice kid that they didn't have since the trade deadline. Now he can get back in, and he's just going to get better. Trent Frederick's the type of guy, him and Kane in particular, I'll point out, they're the type of guys that really have to be able to play against Vegas. Because Vegas,
Right.
I say this every time we talk about Vegas, they're so frickin' big. It is really hard to compete against them if you don't have guys that can. Which is why I'm going to say this, man. Minnesota, what a gutty series they played. They hung in there, man. They gave Vegas fits.
Sure did. Yeah.
In that.
All right. Battle of Ontario race. So the Leafs obviously eliminate the Ottawa Senators. Game 6 last night in Ottawa. The crowd was, as expected, as advertised, top notch. Start with Craig Berube's decision to not pull Max Pacioretty. Some of us wondered whether or not he'd make that lineup change. Nicky Robertson, who's sitting in the press box, who has a knack, at least in the regular season, from coming out of the press box and scoring timely goals. Well, he didn't do that. He kept his lineup intact, but he did make the change, and he elevated Pacioretty to align with William Nylander and John Tavares. Like, how else do you describe it? Is that just gut instinct by an experienced head coach that looks at this guy and goes, this is what we brought him here for? And I feel like he's got more to give.
Yes, I think so. But also, you had the cushion. Berube had the cushion of Game 7, even though, God, nobody wanted to get there from the Toronto standpoint.
No.
Like that clearly, it was already, the train was starting to turn, right? And you're like, oh boy. So part of it's gut instinct. Part of it is that I can give this a go and see if it works. The one thing about Robertson, I would say, the reliability of him game to game or shift to shift is kind of all over the map. And so that makes him, to me, more of a wild card. At the very least, you probably weren't going to get a critical mistake from Pacioretty. Like that was not going to happen. Like he's smart enough. He's been around long enough, right? And then for him to end up with, he gets the assist on the Nylander goal where he kind of just makes the nice little forecheck play, and then the goal, of course, that becomes the game winner was. Man, sometimes the coaches must go back there and crack a beer and go, I can't believe it all worked out tonight. Like sometimes it really does. And sometimes your best intentions end up flat. And, the other guy last night was, Domi had the game winner was at Game 2, Dregs?
Yeah, the overtime
Game 2.
winner. Yeah.
Yeah. And then really hadn't done a thing for 3 games. And the play he makes on the Pacioretty overtime goal, man, that's a really strong, critical timed play.
Sure.
And so it all worked out for Toronto, and man, Ottawa did not make it easy on them either. That was I thought, by the way, best player on the ice that didn't get a point last night, that didn't score, was Stützle. Man, that guy was
he was
everywhere. Good. And you're
so good.
I thought when the game was 2-2, I said to myself, there's no way that kid gets out of this game without scoring tonight. Like it just felt like it. And then sometimes the hockey gods slap you right in the nose and they end up losing. So, and again, sorry, last thing about the Leafs here, because it always cracks me up. You either love William Nylander or can't stand him. And I'm a fan. He entertains me in the way he goes about his thing because he just does not give an F about what anybody else says.
Does not. No.
He scores. He scores in critical times. When he got that loose puck, I'm like, in. And he beat Ullmark over the pad. Like he's just, I don't know. I am a fan. And he scored 2 in Game 6, and now they get to go on and try and battle through those Giants in Florida. And that's the next task.
Yeah, before he scores the empty netter, right? Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I mean, that was a great sequence. Scotty Lawton blocks the shot.
Yeah.
And Matthews
Yeah.
almost jumped over the bench. He was just so
Mm.
thrilled, not because, they sealed the game to get the empty netter, but to put your body on the line the way that Lawton did. I mean, that's part of being in the playoffs, and it was a key moment. But how about the opportunity Nylander had before that to score the empty netter? And he shot from miles away, but it just glanced the outside of the post.
Right.
And the ISO camera zooms in on him as he's down on one knee on the ice. He's got a smirk on his face. He's got like a smirk on his face at that point of the game. Like,
well, he's looking at it, right? Like he must see it, because clearly he sees he's got the best view of it, and he's like, "Oh, it's gonna." I guaranteed, because I don't know if you do this, but as soon as the guy shoots the puck from his own end, I got a pretty good sense of whether it's in or not.
Yeah,
and he shot it, and I went in, like that. That looked like dead center, and it must have just curled and hooked and whatever. And then he's like, missed.
It's just well, whatever.
The way the game has changed, though, like when I played, if somebody would have done that on our side, man, the bench would have been screaming at him like, "What are you doing? Why are you shooting it from your own side of center?" Now the guys, if they've got a shot, they take the shot. Colorado scored 2 goals empty net from their own side of the red line yesterday, right? Both Manson and Makar. Same thing. They're like, "I got an open shot." Makar shot it over top of everybody. They're like, "Yeah, I can do that." So,
okay, let's lump two things into one as we look at Toronto, Florida. And again, we're not going to do the deep dive here because, chances are, the series will start beginning of next week. So we'll have opportunity to get a little bit deeper into that. But Berube went out of his way to give credit to the captain, Austin Matthews, in closing out that game 6 in Ottawa last night. All right. I mean, good game. Nothing, like, it was a solid all-around game for Austin Matthews. But if Toronto is going to beat the Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champions, it can't all be about Austin Matthews. But
it also can't be just solid, pretty good. He's going to have to elevate his game. Because as much as you can say, look, I like the Leafs, and I do. I like the Leafs defense better than it's been in the past. I like kind of the options they've got up and down their lineup. I like the way that they try to play now compared to the way that they tried to play in the past. I like all of those things. And Florida does all of that better.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. And so that doesn't mean you can't win the series. What it means is the game has to be elevated. And it can't be elevated from the bottom up. It's got to be elevated from the top down. And that's just the way it is. Because if Matthews is not playing against Barkov, he's going to be playing against Bennett. And what do you think Bennett is going to try to do every shift? Is just put a shoulder into his chest.
Leave a mark. Yeah.
Yep. Just like that. I watched Florida play Tampa. By the end of it, the frustration was oozing out of every pore of Nikita Kucherov. Everywhere he went, one of those giants was standing in his face. And if he got around one guy, there was the next guy there. Like, it's goofy. I'm like fixated on it. But the way they've built their team, Dregs, they're always in the way.
Yeah.
They're just always in the way. You think you got space? Oh, would you look at that? There is another big guy. And I guess the other part of this thing is Anthony Stolarz was a super popular teammate in Florida last year. They thought he was awesome. Terrific guy, really good goaltender, did his job behind Bobrovsky. And now he's got the starter's ball at the other end of the ice. So a lot of interesting stuff will happen for sure.
Well, speaking of interesting, let's shift to another Canadian market. Winnipeg and St. Louis for Game 6 tonight as we record Rain Dregs here Friday morning. No Mark Scheifele. Remember that at the men's Worlds?
When you first saw his name, though? As a broadcaster, I'm like, how the hell does he say that name? What the hell is that?
No, where was it? It was a men's Worlds when Scheifele was there, of course, playing for Canada. And I think JJ Bear, who was with the Oilers at the time, was a PR guy. You remember? And he went to the public address. Was it Prague?
It might have been. He was basically begging them, please.
Yeah, he's like,
No,
but for the sixth time, it's not Scheifele. Canada goal. Mark Scheifele. Okay. Well, I don't know why.
Anyway, he's not playing.
By that. Yeah. He's not playing. No, he's not playing. So, okay, they've called up Braden Yeager from the Western Hockey League from Lethbridge. That is interesting. Yeah. I mean, we'll find out whether he's being inserted or how this is going to play out. I guess why would you call him up if you're not going to, or is it just opportunity, give the kid some experience around the NHL club?
No, I mean, I guess it could be that. What I think though is there's plenty of examples of a kid coming in either from college and being inserted right into a playoff game. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Not as many from junior into into a game. Like that doesn't really happen. But you've been watching them all year, and if I'm the coach and the manager, I want to talk to him and I want to look in his eyes and see if he's nervous or confident.
Right.
And if he's confident and he's my best option, he's going in. Now, I might not play him 15 minutes. I might play him 6 minutes. But if I look in his eyes and go, you know what? This guy's got enough of an FU that he's like, yeah, I'm here and I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And if you see that, why not? Like Scheifele out of that lineup is a crater to their team. I mean, let's not forget they're already playing without Ehlers, and at the deadline, the one thing they really tried to do was they would have loved to have gotten a second center.
Yeah, Brock Nelson. Yeah,
right, and it didn't happen. So now your number one center is Vlad Nemestikov, who you would have liked to have been your third center.
Right.
So it's like they won the other night. You can win a game. I know Hellebuck was better. He's got to be better still.
Yes. Yeah.
Like and that's just the nature of that stupid position. It just, he's got to be better still or else they're going back.
So Scheifele got drilled twice in that game, right? The first one by Braden Shen. I thought that could have elevated to a major penalty. I did.
I agree. The Shen one. Yeah. It's like the sound and the impact, as much as the league will not say this, because I don't think they believe it, but this is what I believe after doing international hockey for forever. The NHL rules are going more towards what the European rules used to be, and the European rules are going more towards what the NHL rules are. And what I mean by that is we'd watch a World Championship game, Dregs, we did it all the time, right? Or a World Junior game, and if the hit was violent enough or hard enough, you're like, that's a major. Didn't matter if it was textbook clean or not. Major. William Nylander got hit. He got sent to the World Junior team. It was in Malmo. He played one shift. And he got trucked in the middle of the ice. It was a clean hit, but it was so hard, you knew it was going to be a major. I remember it because I was doing the game. Yeah. And that's when Scheifele got hit by, Shen hits hard.
Hard.
And that felt like they were going to major review on that one, and it didn't happen. And then Dr. Montgomery and Dr. Arneal got into it after the game, and
that was awesome. And you know what? I can appreciate Arnie. Anybody who knows Scott Arneal, he's a close to the vest kind of guy, right? Of course, he's super competitive. He played the game. He's uber competitive, very protective. We also know what Monty was doing. Monty wasn't sure that Braden Shen wasn't going to face supplemental discipline. He wasn't sure. So he wanted to make sure that he planted the narrative. It wasn't the Shen hit. It was the fact.
No, let's be
clear.
Let's be clear on this. It was the other hit. Yeah.
Did you understood? Did you appreciate Arneal getting pissed at that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're all they're all trying to work their angle and stuff, but it adds just another thing. What do you think the broadcasts are going to come on the air with tonight?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So like it's good for the sport. It's good for us. It's good for a bunch of things. And then they're going to start the game, and Winnipeg's going to be without two of their best forwards.
It's a tough one. All right. You are doing game 7, correct? Tomorrow? Dallas?
Yes, I am.
Colorado.
I'm flying to Dallas as soon as we finish. And
okay.
And then so it's kind of like it's going to be an amazing night, I think. Like just a super fun game to do. Like so fast. Dallas does not want that game. Dallas doesn't want that game. Game 6, they don't want that.
All right. Well, let's get some predictions here. All right.
Okay. What do we got?
Well, who wins Dallas, Colorado? And then who wins Winnipeg, St. Louis? And I'm interested in Winnipeg, St. Louis because if St. Louis wins, then I'm probably going to Winnipeg for game 7 tomorrow. Well, game 7.
Oh no, Sunday. Are you gonna have to go all the way to the airport? Whew.
I mean, it's
okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying I think there is a game 7 in Winnipeg. I do. I have a tough one with I think Colorado should win given the absences of Heiskanen and Robertson.
Right.
Like I do think they should win. I'm going to say Colorado's going to win on the road.
Okay.
I have zero faith in that prediction, but I think they're going to. I think they're going to. You know what? I kind of like Ottinger better than Blackwood in that scenario. And that might be enough. But if the game is played fast, like Game 6 was, like up and down the ice, not for Dallas. That's not the way they want to play. If they can, kind of move it into a half ice game, I think I like them better.
Yeah, I don't know why I think this, other than he's a terrific young player. I have a Wyatt Johnston vibe.
What a player, man! What a one day we got to get him on, or we got to get on Jim Nill to talk about how they drafted him, because in his draft year he never played any games. I think he played 8 games because that was in the pandemic. But they had seen him the year before.
Yeah.
And they drafted him in the first round, and he made the team right out of camp. And if you would have seen him, that he's already not a very big guy, but if you would have seen him then, he came out, we did a game in his first year, he walked out, I'm like, oh my God, that's Wyatt Johnson. Like he looked like the junior trainer that helps out. He was so little, and his shirt was too big, and I'm like, that kid can play, man. I love watching him play. He is probably better offensively, but he's Patrice Bergeron. His brain is like galaxy brain, man. He is. Oh, I love watching him play. He's gonna be hard to keep off the Olympic team next year.
Agreed. And credit to Jim Nill. You mentioned him, the general manager for the Stars, because that was nifty work. Not only acquiring Mikko Rantanen and then getting that extension done, but in the same sweep, getting Wyatt Johnson locked up long term. I mean, same agent. Yep. Andy Scott represents Rantanen and Wyatt Johnson, but
that doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't. But you still have to have the dollars and all of the pieces.
Okay, but Drake, you just said something. You got to have the dollars. So that comes from your ownership, that goes through your management, that goes through the coaches that have the trust of the player willing to sign the deal. Both those deals. And by the way, for everybody kicking Rantanen in the ass here, I thought he looked pretty good last night when he had 4 points in the period. And him and when Rope Hintz starts getting going downhill, man, like they were amazing to watch last night. And they didn't win. That was a great fun game to watch. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Then I'm going to bounce around, and I do know where I'm going next, and people don't have that yet, so I'll just keep it down when series are starting, because that gets done through TV first and before it gets announced. But
No, as soon as we sign off, as soon as I say goodbye to you, I'll just tell everybody.
Oh, I know you will. I know you will. And they'll be like, oh, this is what I've gathered.
This is what sources say.
Because I was booking, because Ray was booking travel during the podcast. So anyway,
all right. Well, those are your headlines brought to us by Akon. So let's wrap.
And I'm going to give you one thing. Today's Friday, tomorrow's Saturday. I think you got about a week, Dregs, till Mother's Day. Don't drop the ball.
Oh, May 11th. I checked yesterday. Yeah.
Well,
but
you know
hold
what?
on a
I
sec.
knew this.
You and I always have this conversation.
No, but I already shopped because my daughter-in-law told me what I should buy, Cami. Basically, because I think she wants the same thing, so she's telling my son. So it's a conniving thing going on here, but I'm already done.
Ollie's not my mother. That's up to Katie and Mason. They can figure that out. My mom lives in Saskatchewan. She's 86 years old. I'll look after my mom. It's up to my kids to make sure that
will you
Gregor has a good Mother's Day. Oh, of course. Yeah, for sure.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That I like that. That's a good theory on that. Right now, our two knuckleheads here, they need more than prompting. They really do.
Yeah. It is, though, you know what, and we'll wrap, but birthdays, anniversaries, with all due respect, they don't matter. To me, they don't, and to Holly, they don't. I feel like Mother's Day, even more so than Father's Day, to me. Mother's Day for my kids, okay, you don't have to wish your mother a happy birthday. It's rude that you didn't, but I get it. Stuff happens. You're busy. You miss Mother's Day, or last second go to Shoppers and buy a $12 bouquet of flowers, you're feeling the wrath of Dad. That's what
I like that. I do have a buddy, by the way, when you said Mother's Day over Father's Day. The only thing he asked for Father's Day is he's got younger kids, as his wife and kids go out for the day so he can watch the U.S. Open in peace. That's
very good.
It's what he asks for every time. And I'm like, well, that's a hell of a gift.
Awesome stuff. All right, buddy. Safe travels to Dallas. And again, by the time we reconnect for Ray and Dregs at some point early next week, then the second round will be underway, and we'll have a lot more meat on the bone.
I think we've got to look at Monday out of the gate here due to stuff. But hope everybody has a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed that awesome night of hockey last night. And
terrific.
Be well, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you, Ray. And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support Ray and Dregs and make this podcast possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, and thank you to Akon. Until next time, have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe.